As we come on the air here at 6 a.m., we are following breaking news from overnight. This is video from Portland just hours ago as tensions flared between protesters and federal authorities for another night. The president pushing to have the National Guard on the ground there and in Chicago. Let's welcome you in, everyone. I'm Jason Hackett alongside Lauren Lemanchek.
Michelle Beck's at the live desk tracking what's happening there right now. We'll get to her in a minute. But first, let's get a check of your forecast with John. John, it's cool out there.
Yeah, it's a nice, cool start. Very similar to yesterday, kind of that light jacket morning. The afternoon, low 60s. But tomorrow morning, some of us are getting even colder. Now, again, very enjoyable temperature, very seasonal. 47 degrees out here. Pretty light winds out of the south. Now we're going to have a cold front, a second cold front in 3 days move through in the next couple of hours, and that is going to drop our temperatures really tomorrow morning. So what's happening is we've actually bounced. We were just in the 30s probably half hour ago in Princeton and Cambridge, and temperatures in Alexandria are now at 50 degrees. So we've been warming up. How's that possible? Well, you see the cold front settling in here off to the northwest. But there's that cloud deck. I wouldn't leave you hanging. Of course, I'm going to tell you why it warmed. This small little cloud deck, all it's doing is rolling overhead, and it's warming our temperature up 8 degrees. But then what it's going to do, it's going to leave us, and then it's going to cool us back down. So kind of a volatile temperature morning with that little cloud deck. Now, this cold front, that's going to set the table for tomorrow morning's very cold start. We'll take a look at that in your forecast. Cece, how's it looking this morning?
Good morning. Good news as you're waking up. It looks great. We're crash free. This is a live look in Eden Prairie. Good morning if you're waking up there or in the Southwest Metro. Look at Highway 212. Folks getting out on the road this morning, but no major slowdowns to report right now. You can take a look at your main route. Should be clear. Let me know if that's different once you get to work. We're going to zoom in here to the North Metro in Blaine. Good morning to folks there. There's a road project there starting at 9 o'clock, so I'll have that for you just after 6:15.
All right, Cece, thank you. We have breaking news happening right now in Chicago. The Texas National Guard has just arrived in Indiana on their way to Chicago. This picture showing the moment they deployed. And 2,000 miles away, protesters in Portland continued to clash with police overnight. Now, those Texas National Guard troops will be in place just hours from now, ready to hit the streets of Chicago.
The governor of Illinois is calling this a military-like invasion and is suing to stop it. Michelle's at the live desk. Michelle, a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah, certainly. You're taking a look at that very picture. The Texas National Guard, their governor saying they have deployed, and CNN reporting they have touched down in Indiana overnight, making their ways to Chicago. Now, at the same time, we are watching legal battles unfold. Illinois suing the Trump administration in the last 24 hours to push troops off the streets of Chicago. Similar tensions here in Portland as we show you some new video we got overnight of protesters and federal agents outside an ICE facility. In Oregon, it is the National Guard from California that's been deployed. Now, the White House is now challenging an order from a federal judge who temporarily blocked troops from going to Portland. The president maintains local authorities have failed to keep communities safe.
You look at what's happened with Portland over the years, it's a burning hellhole, and then you have a judge that lost her way, that tries to pretend that like there's no problem.
The folks in the neighborhoods do not want armed troops marching in their streets. They do not want Donald Trump to occupy their communities.
Yeah, and right there, you just heard from the Illinois governor. As for the governor of Oregon, she said there is no insurrection in Portland. Now, Jason and Lauren, there is a lot to break down about that word insurrection, especially because President Trump is threatening to use the Insurrection Act. Guys, we'll get to that coming up in the next half hour. Jason.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Michelle, thank you. We are following another breaking story overnight out of California. Right now, 3 people are in critical condition after a medical helicopter crashed onto a Sacramento freeway. Take a look here. This was the scene on Highway 50 last night, just hours ago. Right now, it's not clear what caused the crash. The 3 victims include a pilot, a paramedic, and a nurse. One of them was found trapped underneath the helicopter. Bystanders actually rushed in to help lift that chopper up. Now, amazingly, no cars were hit when that aircraft went down.
We're live in Washington, D.C. this morning. The government shutdown hits day 7, and the Senate still failing to pass either party's proposal to keep the government running through late November. And this morning, we're already starting to see some fallout.
That's right. Several airports across the country are now seeing delays. because there just aren't enough workers. Audrey Russo is live at MSP. And Audrey, how are things looking out there so far?
Things are looking pretty good. I have reached out to MSP officials to see if there have been any widespread issues with call-outs or employees not showing up to work. But from what I can see, looking up at the flight boards here, all the departures, all the arrivals appear to be on time this morning. We do know in the last 24 hours, though, there were maybe a couple of delayed flights from Denver. And Denver is one of the 12 FAA-controlled facilities that's currently dealing with a high volume of staff call-outs, unexpected absences, really just staffing shortages in general. Because remember, air traffic controllers and TSA employees are federal workers who are currently working without a paycheck. Now, some of the airports that are really badly impacted this morning include Washington, D.C., Newark, Chicago, and Phoenix. But the most dramatic holdup we've seen came from Burbank, California, where an airport tower had to close down because there were 0 air traffic controllers. The governor there posted on X that lag lasted from 4:15 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, the transportation secretary says if those numbers and those patterns sort of continue like that throughout the shutdown, they're going to have to make some difficult decisions about which planes can safely be in the air and which ones have to remain grounded. I've got more on that coming up in about 30 minutes, but for now, I'll send things back to you.
Audrey, thank you. Well, this morning, the Minnesota Department of Health says it has roughly 1 week before federal funding for some critical food assistance programs runs out. And food shelves say they're now worried they'll be overwhelmed if the government shutdown doesn't end soon. Last year, the Women's, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program, known as WIC, served more than 6 million people across the country. Executive Director of the ACBC Food Shelf in Anoka says they're serving 25% more families this year compared to last year. So if funding for WIC and SNAP dry up, she's uncertain what the future looks like, as they're already at capacity.
People are fearful because a lot of the people that come to our food shelf either get very limited funding from these programs or none at all. So it's already busy.
Last year, WIC in Minnesota helped more than 100,000 low-income women and infants and children up to the age of 5. It provides free formula and nutritional meals for those who qualify.
Time now 6:07, and today marks 2 years since Hamas's October 7th attack plunged the region into war. More than 1,200 people were killed and around 250 others were taken hostage. An end to the war, though, could be in sight. Right now, negotiators from Israel, Hamas, and the U.S. are in Egypt trying to negotiate a ceasefire deal. Now, in Minneapolis, pro-Palestine activists are planning a protest downtown tonight, calling for an end to the war and U.S. aid to Israel. Organizers say they want to highlight the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza and also push for lasting peace in the region. That protest starts at 5 p.m. at the Paul Wellstone Federal Building.
We have new details this morning about the 12-year-old from Sartell who's now on life support after suffering a head injury in a bike crash. It happened Sunday at Northside Park at the bottom of what locals call Muskie Hill. Police say Raghav Shrestha went into cardiac arrest and wasn't breathing after the accident. Another boy called 911. They say his prognosis may have been even worse had it not been for the quick actions of some Good Samaritans, including a passing CPR instructor, a nurse, and another healthcare worker who performed CPR until paramedics arrived. We'll hear from one of them coming up in 30 minutes.
This morning, a defendant in the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme will be held in federal custody until his trial after being accused of witness tampering. Prosecutors say Abdi Wahab Muhammad tried to convince another defendant not to testify at his trial. Muhammad's trial is set to start 1 week from today on October 14th.